Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Owning Up podcast. I am so excited about this episode today because we have a special guest who has just she has come onto the scene with incredible energy, and it's like collaborative girl era energy. And you guys know that's what I'm all about, is collaboration, empowerment, and uplifting. And so I'm so excited to have Kera Sanchez with us today. Sometimes we think, what happens when you take your frustration with military spouse representation and turn it into a thriving media business, or even just a business, which a lot of military spouses do? They find an issue and they're like, somebody's got to solve it. And then we raise our hand and we decide we're the people to solve it. Don't know why, when we have so much chaos in our lives. But I think the reason, and I know the reason behind it, is because a lot of times we don't want other people to feel like we've felt, and we want people to understand our life and our journey and celebrate it. So today we're talking to the founder who's changing the narrative about military spouses, one story of entrepreneurship at a time. So Kera Sanchez, founder of MilSpo Social Magazine. Kera, take us to the beginning. Tell us a little bit about you. Where you just bursting on the scenes, girl? What you been doing? Did you start this? And the aha moment that made you start MilSpo Social.
Yes. So thank you so much for having me for one. But to answer your question, I am a rebound military spouse. I was on the scene over a decade ago. It was like 2011 when I met my husband. We met after a night of cocktails out in downtown Naperville, which is where I was living at the time. And I didn't want to give him the time of the day. I was like, you know what? You're in the military. I'm never going to see you. Fast forward 6 months, and we were married and living our best life in Hawaii because that's where he was stationed. And I was definitely very frustrated with my experience because I had to leave my career in Illinois. At the time, I was a high school Spanish teacher. And contrary to popular belief, Spanish teachers are not something that people are looking for in Hawaii. They want Mandarin, they want Hawaiian, they want Farsi, but like Spanish teachers, like no one wants to take that, right? And so I found myself like, wow, my options are minimal and I have a full-on degree. I have experience in my field, yet I couldn't find something that matched up to what I was trying to complete. And long story short, I found a part-time gig. I was working at Ann Taylor. I did like soccer shots, which is essentially coaching for preschoolers. Like I found all these odd jobs to kind of piece together and pay the bills. And my husband decided at that time, after a couple deployments and things, like it was time to just get out. He was like, okay, I think let's go home and let's see where life leads us. And we were living just a very normal life. He was in a corporate career. I was back in education. I've been working at the same school now for about 11 years. And we went through a season of loss. Like his mother died, my mother died. And he decided that, the corporate career was not scratching the itch anymore. He really felt a call to come back to military life. The call of service was definitely there, and he wanted to be a part of something greater than himself. And for a while, I was resisting the idea. I was like, man, I don't know if I want to do that again. And eventually, what happened is I realized that life is definitely too short to allow him to just sit wondering what would happen if he joined again. And so here we are now. He's been in for just over a year. He was at officer training school for several months, and then he got stuck there for a while because he had to get redesignated for a different job. And so what I thought would be like maybe a 4-month process of him getting back in and us kind of getting him situated and getting stationed somewhere, it's been over a year. And so I've been at home with our kids, juggling that, my full-time career. I'm now a dean of students, so I'm no longer in the classroom. And on the side, I had also started something for my grief. I started a grief magazine and I started a community there. And what I realized is, wow, like I'm jumping back into the scene truly. And I'm feeling a certain type of way about my past experience. And I had an opportunity to visit where we're going to be stationed. And I realized that my certification, it's not that simple to just like transfer over and start teaching here again. And so I think, yeah, it was rooted in frustration, and it was also rooted in my experience starting something else completely non-military spouse related. And I realized that I already had a blueprint there ready for me to go. And all I had to do was pivot and hit copy paste and apply what I've learned from my experience with starting a grief magazine to something that's completely different. It's a total palate cleanser for me. And so this has been such an exciting experience for me because it's like, hey, I'm back. Who wants to be my friend? And let's do this together. And so that's exactly what the vibe of the magazine is. It's trying to create female bonds and friendships through our shared frustrations of starting a business, right? It's not easy. It's not something that you can do alone. So even if we are solopreneurs and we are doing it in between moving and PCS and all of that stuff, we have each other. And so I guess that's kind of the premise of the magazine, is to highlight that experience and help women feel visible in their business.
Yeah, and I will say, like, even that the magazine isn't completely launched, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. The vibe is that is completely the vibe, and I absolutely love it. And I know that a lot of spouses in the community love it, and we all rally together here at AMC like no other. And so that is just going to continue to flourish because, one of the things I've learned, and you said so many great points when you were talking a second ago. It's like a lot of our businesses are rooted in frustration. I started the organization because I wanted spouses to have a place to ask questions and feel seen as they build their business and not compared to civilian life. Because building a business as a civilian is completely different than building a business as a military spouse. Even if spouses don't move a lot, there's a lot of PTSD and lifestyle challenges that affect military spouses as they're building a business. And so it's so powerful how we take frustration or experience and, you with Griefy coming along and saying, basically, this is a blueprint. Like, that's what we do at AMC. We're like, hey, there are so many successful businesses here. Come here, grab these blueprints, grab these resources, and duplicate them. Just change the narrative, change the goal. And I love that you're doing that. You're not starting from zero. You're taking your experience and then you're collaborating with other spouses to grow your network. And that's something that I really wanted to pull from that. Like the vibe of empowerment and support and collaboration is to really grow your network and get in front of other people. The other thing that you said is like, so entrepreneurship, yes, it's a lonely journey, but it does not have to be a siloed journey, right? We build community networks and resources so that you can do it together. And I feel like a lot of times that is something that's really missed because people are like, oh, it's my business. I'm going to do this. It's really hard to do it by yourself. And I will say, I've seen thousands of spouses try to do it by themselves. As soon as they open their mouth, as soon as they ask a question, as soon as they say like, hey, Kara, how can I help you? Like, what are you looking for? Who can I connect you with? Like, those were my first questions to you. I was like, hey, what are you doing? Like, what have you done so far? Like, how can I support you to grow this? Because the more people have eyes and ears on our community, the more we all benefit. So I really love that. And that's why I feel like we have connected so much because that is my whole vibe. So I love that. So let's jump in. What are the first steps initially investing and getting started? Because a lot of spouses in the community, and from my own experience, they're like, well, I really don't have any money to get started. I invested 500 when I first started my PR business. And, when I got my money, I started to pay it back. But some spouses are in a place where like, what does investment look like? And we can talk about financial and time investment because if you guys listened, she's still working a full-time job. Okay.
Yes.
So when I hear spouses tell me they're in the middle of a PCS, oh girl, wait a minute. Woo-hoo. They're in the middle of a PCS, Kera Sanchez. They're working a full-time job, Kera Sanchez. They have little kids, Kera Sanchez. They're living in a hotel. Their husband's not there. Like there's all these different excuses to why you could be like, I'm waiting for 6 months. I'm waiting for another year. Tell us the investment in getting started and why you decided that, hey, even though this may be a challenge, I'm still going to do it because this.
For sure. I would say that for me, the investment for is way more time than anything else.
Mhm.
Yes, there's small financial investments that I've made, but that's nothing groundbreaking, like paying for a verified badge on Instagram. I'm still playing with the idea of, do I want it to upgrade my website to like something that's more paid and getting a business suite, all of that kind of stuff. Like that's going to be coming, but um, you can you can practically start for free. You really can. It just takes motivation and it takes inspired action. And for me, inspired action has been the number one key at play for both of my magazines and anything with my businesses in general. If an idea comes to me, I do not pause. I think that idea came to me for a reason and I go for it. And so that is why sometimes I feel like my social media feed can be a little bit chaotic and it just constantly like pumping out stuff because if it comes to me, I'm like, no, I'm going to do this right now. And I've gotten into the habit and into the practice of content for me is just quick. It's fast. I can do it in 5 minutes. And it takes practice. But if you have that mindset of if an idea comes to you, don't pause. You need to do it instantaneously. And even if that means you're juggling something or you say, hang on, kids, I'm going to put on Bluey for a mini episode so I can do this real quick. Um, that's what it is, you know?
Yeah, I think so many of us get stuck in that perfection type of
Mhm.
mindset. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. I'm like, I have a running list of things I want to post, and I'm like, I want to just organize it more, right? I'm being a little more strategic, but also my feed is kind of, I was actually just thinking about this the other day. I was like, I have the same thing. My personal feed is like AMC and coaching and family life and advice. And I'm just like so over the aesthetic part of trying to capture this image that I'm not like, I'm all these things, right? So I love that you said that because there's so many spouses that are hesitant to push post because they're waiting for the perfect grid layout, the perfect headshot, the perfect everything. And then, investing in and starting a business, you can get momentum, you can get going before a lot of that, right? So like there you just did it, you hit the nail on the head. You're like invest time is the biggest investment. And it is also discipline, accountability. And I think like when you were talking a minute ago about like just post it, I think the same thing stands for like your idea. If you have the idea to do this business, to implement this thing, just do it. You can always come back, right? And fix and course correct and edit and revise and add to it. But if you never like publish it, it never gains momentum, right? And there's so many of us, and I coach, like I said, I work with spouses all the time. This is the biggest thing that is just holding them back outside of the money. It's holding them back. So you can get your LLC, probably, $125, $150, depending on the state. If you move, and we did an episode on this for PCSing, you can get reimbursed for any of your reestablishing your business, refiling, all of that stuff can be reimbursed up to $1,000 and also with your move. So if you're listening to this and you're like, wait, I didn't know that, go back to our PCSing episode and you guys will learn more about that. But all really good information. I love that you said time is your biggest one. And so how are you strategically organizing your time? Because you're you're dealing with editorial, you're dealing with copy and content, you're dealing with emailing, like how are you organizing your time? Like what is the method to your madness?
I would say that I do attempt at sometimes to like chunk. So
Mm.
today I'm focusing on catching up on emails, or today I'm focusing on content. Today I'm focusing on more of the magazine side of things, etc. Sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes I just have a list of these are the things that need to get done. But um, I do have undiagnosed ADHD. Like my brain is constantly like dunk, 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 and it's like a ping pong machine, right? And or whatever. What is it called?
It's G.
Pinball. Whatever.
So I'm the same way, which is why like my text messages too are so random. I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, talking about this.
Yes.
I'm like text messages. But I
Yeah.
guess
So
HD girlies, they know what we're talking about.
Yes. And so like as much as I try to stay organized, it doesn't always happen that way for sure. And so like don't beat yourself up over it, but I would say just when it comes to time management, do as much as you can in that day, but then also don't overdo it either. Don't just do something for the sake of doing it. If like maybe you're feeling a little burnt out or you know that you have 12 loads of laundry to do or other things in the house that are also going to stress you out and bring down your productivity, like you just have to learn how to find this like flow and balance, because I do know that when I feel behind in my personal life and like my household, that also affects my business too. So like you just have to learn how to tackle all of the things that need to get tackled and not let one shoe drop, if that makes sense. Because then if the household stuff falls apart, then it's going to bleed into your business. Or if the business stuff falls apart, it bleeds into your household. So like you do have to learn that everything is a priority. It just shifts. It's like it's on a turntable and you take turns, right? And everything gets a little bit of love. So
Let's jump into the magazine. What's the mission beyond just publishing the content? Like, I think we talked a little bit about it, but I want to dive deeper into like how you're deciding to feature the voices, to elevate them, and feature stories. Like, I want to really jump into like the magazine.
yeah, for sure. So my biggest thing is providing different types of women and different types of businesses the visibility that they need. And it doesn't need to be someone that's, 10 years down the road on their entrepreneurial journey. Maybe they're just getting started. I think that that's also just as important to highlight and talk about and walk through what it means to start for them. So that way, women who want to also get started feel like it's more approachable. Like, oh, that's what they're doing. I can do that too. So I think it is like a really good mix of people who are super established and have a full blown business that's like an ecosystem, it's running, it's going. And there's also women with a vision, with a plan, and they are walking us through what it's going to look like over the next couple of years while they're slowly launching their business and their brand. And so I think having that perspective, that diverse perspective, is very important for women who don't know how to get started, where to get started, because we all have to start from somewhere, right? And so I think that that for me was the biggest piece of the puzzle, is trying to find women from all walks of life and like what different stages of their business.
Yeah, and I think that because we've already had like a little sneak peek, I think that when I was looking at everything, and what is always important to me, just as a business owner in general, is the diversity. Not just diversity as far as race and color and ethnicity, but also of, like you said, the diversity in different businesses, service based versus product based versus all these in betweens, right? Like early in business, late in, been in whatever many years. I think that when you have that, it's very much somebody can find a story or something while they're reading it that resonates with them, or they can see themselves in this person right here in this journey, but then like this person's over here and they aspire to do that, or they want,
Yes.
oh wow, that's really interesting, I never thought about that. And so I think what you've done really smart is layer. You have the magazine for me is like a layered, like an onion. You just have different layers, and
Yeah.
people are going to be inspired by a story or a comment or a quote, or even learn about a business that they had no idea. I also
Right.
think what's really smart about what you did too is share other resources that are going to help support their business journey, right?
Mhm.
So AMC, you have Spousely, you have the military spouse. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my words here.
The
The
chamber. Yeah.
the Rosie Network,
Yep.
all of those. I mean, they all offer different types of support and community and resources, and it just depends on the season that you're in as a spouse and what your needs are. But now you know what it is,
Yeah.
right? And so I really love how you do that, and offering different diverse backgrounds, whether it's the stages of business or women of color, or you know women all ages too. I think that's important too, because when we're looking at spouses, especially with the word MilSpo, right? Like you have to look at that word. That's a very young word, right? but then you're featuring other spouses who've been doing this for so long. And it's just, I just love it. It's a melting pot of empowerment and resources and support and highlighting. And I really think that that's going to be such a great start to what you're doing. And it'll set the precedence for what's to come.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to kind of talk a little bit more about like starting and growing. So if someone has an idea, very similar to yours, and we're gonna do a lightning round in a minute if you guys are looking for like, hey, where do I find the magazine? All the details about it. I actually let me ask you this: the magazine itself, like, what are you the most proud of inside what you've done? Like, I think that's really important to kind of touch on it.
Um, I'm proud that it came out exactly how I envisioned it would turn into. I really was intentional about wanting this to be feminine. I wanted this to be for the girlies for sure. And I didn't want to stray from that. I didn't want this to get bled into other things that quickly sometimes can avalanche into it. Like I wanted this space to be our own. And so I think overall, like that has standed true to how I envisioned this. The only small pivot that I did make is initially I thought this would be for female military spouse entrepreneurs. But there's a ton of female military affiliated women, whether that be that they are veterans or currently active duty, that also need a space too. So that has also um, become incorporated into our mission, but overall, it's still women forward. And so that's for me, like what I'm really proud of is just sticking to the vision that I had in mind and didn't allow other noise to slowly start creeping in there because it's easy sometimes to not niche down because you're like, oh, I want this to apply to this person. I want it to apply to this person. And it's like, no, like if you're selling to everyone, you're selling to no one. You need to have a market in mind. And so this is for women. And I want that to be very specific for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we even get that question here too. Can veterans join our community? I'm like, no, sorry, we can't make an exception. Like, we serve military spouses, which is one of the highest underserved communities in our community. So, no, like veterans have so many amazing resources that we don't. When my husband was still active duty, he'd be taking these calls. I'm like, who are you talking to? He's like, oh, we get free professional mentorship. And I meet with this person like twice a month. And I'm like, that is so great.
Yeah, it
Like
is.
a mentor to, who's a colonel or whatever, and they're spending time with you to help you on your journey. I'm like, that is incredible. And that's something that we as spouses would typically have to pay for. And that's between 5 and 25 or even $10,000 a month, depending on the type of coach and mentor you want. And so, yeah, they have a lot of great resources. So, and I get it. You want to serve, we serve veteran military spouses. So veterans, military spouses who were active duty before who became spouses, which is a very high number actually. In our community, it's like 42% were active duty and then got out and were married to an active duty member. We serve, so if you've served and you're now a spouse, you can join our community. So I think it's important that what you said, like if you serve everybody, you serve nobody. I think that's key. And right now, with I think the way that social media and society and investing and all of that is going, they want to really see founder led communities and very specific communities because that's really where they want to invest their time and their money. So I think it's smart and I think it's inspiring for sure.
Yeah.
So I want to get a little practical for our entrepreneur audience because they're wondering, I'm sure they're listening. If someone is listening and has an idea but hasn't started yet, and you touched a little bit on this a minute ago, what do you tell them? Like, what would
I
you
would
be?
say seek out people who are doing something similar to them and lurk. You have to look at other people and other businesses and other models and see what it is that they're doing and what's making them successful and take notes, decide what's going to work for you, what's not, and how you can apply it to your business. I think that's the number one thing. I think people are sometimes hesitant to do that because they feel like they're copying or I don't know, like because it's not all coming from their own brain, that it's not authentic. But like all of the major brands are doing it, all of the major corporations, they are spying on each other. And so you're behind if you are not taking the time to do your research and see what other brands are doing and then figuring out from there how you can make it your own. I think that's like the number one piece of advice. And so, yeah, I do go to Barnes and Noble and look at other magazines and be like, okay, like how can I use this layout, or this story is cool, how can I twist it so that way it applies to military spouse life, right? And so yeah, I think that is such an important piece of advice, is just keep an eye out for what other people are doing, other successful people are doing, and learn how to make it your own.
I think just don't reinvent the wheel. Why make it
Yeah,
hard?
why? Exactly. Like,
Think, whichever, if we talk about McDonald's and Burger King, one came first, the other one went and looked and said, hey, this is what they're doing. How can we make it a little more unique, right? What works for us?
mhm,
All franchise
yeah,
models are built the same way. They all do it. It's very, very smart. The smartest people will do that. They'll create a SWOT analysis and they'll say, what's working for this? What's not working? Okay, how can I apply that to, like you said, change the narration, change the narrative, and see how you can apply it to what you're doing. And I think it also takes out the guesswork. I also feel like it's inspiring too. So
oh
like when
yes.
I'm like, oh, I really love to have like like we have a high level coaching program, but I want it to be like, this much money a month. What are they doing? What are they offering? What are their sweet spots? And how can I take that and apply it to my community or a new community, right? So you
Right.
always, so don't ever, girl, that's the biggest advice, the best advice you've given. So how do you grow Mill Spouse's social following and build visibility? So I heard you say you got a verification check. I don't have one. I've never gotten one. I'm like, Facebook ain't getting my money. Like, so tell us.
I
Right.
yes. I don't think you need that verification check at all. It's just something for me. I've heard horror stories of people getting locked out of their account, so it's like, okay, I guess I'm paying for like the service. But um, I would say the biggest way to grow is collaboration. And people, again, they get very territorial about their feed, and they think that it has to be done on their own. And that's just not how things work. And I think that that's why the magazine has taken off uh, a little bit, is that we are working together. Not only are the women amplifying the magazine, but I'm amplifying the women. So it's like we're back and forth. We're helping each other. We're patting each other on the back. And I would say, you know, getting into communication or on the landing page of someone that you aspire to connect with is like your starting point, and just get on their radar. And yeah, building comments and creating that community connection. After a while, they're gonna see you and you're gonna be visible. And I think that that's like the number one thing. Like that's literally how I started, is I created the account and I just searched for different military spouse accounts. And I think that's how I even found you. Like you just have to reach out and don't be afraid to shoot your shot. Like, yeah, I'm probably still sitting in some people's DMs unopened, but there was another 50% that people did open it and they're like, oh, this sounds cool. Like I would like to be involved. And so you have to throw away this misconception that you need to have thousands of followers for people to like value your content. It doesn't work like that. Like your content is valuable because the content that you have is going to be serving people. And so I think that's how you grow, is by working together as a cohesive unit. So
Absolutely, I agree. 100%. Now, when you think about mind shifts, like what mind shifts are necessary for you as a founder, especially one that's moving and kind of navigating this through multiple duty stations?
yeah, one of the biggest mindset shifts that I've had, and this is something that I've adopted from my husband, his advice from his corporate career, the idea that you have to fail fast. I think as someone who's sometimes a perfectionist and I don't like to hear the word failure in my vocabulary, I'm like, no, I'm not going to fail. But like the reality is not everything that you are going to do is going to be successful. There's going to be things that flop. There's going to be um yeah, things that you're attempting to do, whether that be through content creation, whether that be through email marketing, whether that be through your messaging and outreach to finding sponsors, like all these things. There are going to be times where you fail and you have to take that failure and learn from it, fail fast, and then pivot. So that way the next time isn't a failure. And so I think, yeah, just like learning to use the word failure as something that it doesn't necessarily have to be bad because you can pivot from a failure. And so it's like a learning experience, right?
I love that. I mean, we talk about failure a lot. And, for some people, because they're in this perfectionist mindset, failure for them means like it's wrong. And it's like, no, it's not wrong. You're learning what's working and what's not working. And then you take pieces from that to pivot and improve. Right. And so I love that point because people are so scared to talk about that and embarrassed to talk about it. And they feel like there's going to be this judgment or it's something that they shouldn't do because when you put a business out into the world, it's your baby.
Yeah.
It's just like your kids. And if your kids mess up or you mess up, it's a reflection of, you feel like it's a reflection of who you are.
Yeah.
But I think we forget that we're people living this life for the first time and you're a business owner living this era of your small business for the first time. And there are going
Yeah.
to be pivots. And I think I know a lot of those times there are signs when something is not working that you have to pivot for a reason, for an opportunity.
Mhm.
And I've experienced that, especially in the last year for sure here at AMC and with my personal coaching and all of that. Like, what needs to change? What do I really want to do? What does that look like? And what am I letting go of? And not looking at it as a failure, more of like a lesson learned to improve.
Mhm.
I think it's important. So I think, thank you for sharing that because we don't really talk about that. And even some of the podcasts that I'm listening to with Emma and all of them, they're talking about failure in ways that like we've never experienced it in our lives or hear about it. People losing millions and
Yeah.
really sharing why they lost the millions and how they pivoted to get it back, right? And then because they've already experienced that, when it starts to happen, when that little pink flag pops up before it turns red, you're like, I've seen this before. Wait a minute, hold the brakes. This is a pattern and we have to stop it. So I think it's really smart, um, and I have something called a red flag notebook. So any type of situation or anything that I'm writing, like, oh, this happened. What are the red flags that I saw that I didn't see coming that I see now? And I write them down, especially in business, because you're like, this is a feeling, this is a situation, or whatever. You can come back to it and say, wait, this has happened before. What was the
Mhm.
outcome? Why wouldn't I want to go down this street? So down this path or whatever. Um, I love that. I love that a lot because we just don't talk about it enough, to be honest with you. And especially
Yeah.
in this community, like you said, people get very territorial. People, it's almost like there's a shame around it. And it's like there's no shame in growing and
Yeah.
sharing vulnerably what's happening so other people can learn from it. Because honestly, we need the most help. We're
Mhm.
so far behind in so many areas. If we have people sharing why they had to change things and how they changed it, it's going to help somebody else get further faster.
Yeah. A thousand
And
percent.
yeah, yeah. All right. As we wrap up, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions. So, number one, what's the best business decision you've ever made?
Just simply starting. You just have to start. You really do.
I love that. It's very true. Like, just start. Stop thinking about it. Stop trying to create the business plan, which, by the way, I never advise anybody to create a business plan unless they're looking for investors because it's going to change. And if you're like an A type, you're like, the business plan says this. Honey, entrepreneurship is not like that. One business myth you'd like to bust for military spouses.
Um, myth. Um, ooh, let me think. That that you don't have the time. because we do have
You have no idea how much I hear that in all my coaching. I don't have time. What?
like honestly, if you can't find a way to make the time, and I'm going to hold people's hand when I say this, then maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Like it has to be a priority. And so, um, I'm not saying it's going to be easy to find the time and it's not going to be easy to juggle the time, but you also have to see that these strange situations we're in are also like really cool opportunities. And so, me bouncing between two cities right now, I basically have two new markets and I can, expand my network. And right now I'm in a hotel. Like I have a great, backdrop, whatever. Like just you have to learn how to maybe see some of the things that people would see as detours or things that make it harder. And maybe it's not making it harder. Maybe there's like silver linings to that. So I don't know. It's definitely a give and take, but uh, you have time. You just have
Yeah.
to make the
I
time.
think people would use them as a way to not move because they're fearful. At the end of the
Hmm.
day, it's fear
Yeah.
holding
Yeah.
them. If you could go back and tell yourself something when you were just getting started, what would it be?
Ooh. Um, to not sweat the small stuff. I feel like when I first got started, everything I put out had to have this almost authority behind it. And I would just fear that people would maybe perceive it the wrong way or people wouldn't like it. And the reality is, like that's that classic saying, you could be the juiciest, ripest peach on the tree, and someone's still not going to like peaches. So if people don't like your content, okay, then it's not for you, right? And so don't sweat it if not everyone loves it, not everyone people are nitpicking the things that you're doing, like those aren't your people. Like that's noise. Push that to the side and focus on the people that believe in your mission and are cheering you on. That's like where you should focus your time and energy. It's very easy to get sucked into like the negativity. Just don't sweat that stuff. Don't.
Love I really love that encouragement. Where is MilSpo Social headed in the next year?
Ooh, so, we're so much more than a magazine, right? We're launching something. It's not necessarily a networking group because there's not going to be a component where we're actively meeting up or anything like that. But we do have a directory now, which I think is important for women to just be able to show off some of the things that they're working on and just kind of be affiliated with the magazine. But when people are part of this, they also are going to be getting behind the scenes emails about this is where issue two is heading. These are some things or topics that we would like to cover in the next issue. Is there anyone that would be interested in submitting a piece? Right. So that way they kind of have that insider access of, I will more likely get selected for publication. Right. And um, also, we're going to be working together on content. So I'm going to be coming up with different things that we can work on together as a collaborative group to expand our reach and things like that. And so, um, it's a community what we're trying to build. It's not just about the magazine. It's about women who just in general want to grow on social and also be able to collaborate and work with other women when it comes to creating things together. And so that's kind of our biggest goal for the magazine. I would love eventually down the road to have in-person events. I think of all of the other magazines, like they have like launch parties and they have galas at the end of the year. I'm like, oh my gosh, imagine where this could go, but it's baby steps and it's important to have these beautiful visions in mind and do all the things that you need to do to get there, but also focus on what you have going on right now too. So
So many good things. It's exciting. And I know it's all going to come true because you're a woman that makes it happen and you have the community, you're building the community to help you along the way. The closing gem for you that we ask all of our guests is what part of your story are you owning up to?
oh, I'm gonna take a massive pivot and I am owning my grief side of the story. This is how I all got started in publishing to begin with, as I started a grief publication after the loss of my mom. And just because something terrible and tragic happens to you, that doesn't mean that the rest of your life is destined to that same outcome. And there is absolutely zero shame in turning some of the worst things that have happened in your life into something that's positive. And so for me, that I'm going to own that, because there's some people that were like maybe judge you for that or be like, wow, I can't believe you're saying that out loud. And it's like, no, like my mom wouldn't want that for me either, to live in misery. And so I think owning the things that are hard and finding a way to make it work for your life and still live a fruitful life, that's, I'm going to own that for sure.
And I know that's going to resonate with a lot of people. Thank you for sharing. That's really
Yeah.
bold. Really, really
Thank
good.
you.
Okay, so where can we find Kara and MilSpo Social? More, where
All
can
right.
you tell us all the launch things? Like, get us up to speed.
Yes, all of the details. So MilSpo Social Co. We basically have all of the same handles. So on Instagram, it's MilSpo Social Co. Our website, milsposocialco.com. And we are going to be offering the magazine in both print and virtual. The virtual, we aim to be free forever. We just got to get these sponsorships coming in, guys. But yeah, so we will be publishing the issue on our website. It will be embedded so that way people can just find it. Or if they don't want to have to go searching for it, they can subscribe at our website, and every time an issue launches, the link will get automatically sent to their inbox. It's published on Issue, which is just like a magazine, virtual magazine platform. And then the print copy is available on Amazon. And let me just tell you, it's in color, it's beautiful, it's stunning. And so I'm just so excited for that to happen technically in 3 days on the 2nd of January. So I'm assuming by the time this launches, it will be out. So I highly recommend that people just check out our website and just see all of our offerings, all of the ways to get involved, all of the ways for them to potentially get featured, submit work, all of the things.
Awesome. I'm excited. And if you guys are listening while you're bathing babies or in driving cross country, we will have this in the show notes so you will be able to follow up and grab and click and follow up. But I want to thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your impact. And I want you guys to go follow MilSpo Social, share this episode, rate this show. So we can get more ears on all this inspiration for other military spouses who are just searching maybe for something, an inspiration, a seed, or some water to grow their little seed. This episode could do that for somebody. And I want to remind you that your idea matters, your story matters, your business can thrive even in military life. And Kara is an example of that. So thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
You don't need permission, guys. Perfect timing or permanent addresses to build something meaningful. You need a vision, get grit and courage to start. So remember, this isn't just about celebrating what Kara has built, but it's also about showing your audience what's possible for them. See you guys next time on Owning Up. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Okay, let me cut that.